The morning sun barely reached through the narrow window of Anna Blake's apartment. Dust danced in the thin beam of light that managed to sneak past the towering buildings of the human quarter. Anna brushed her brown hair from her face and sipped her coffee, savoring the bitter taste. It was one of the few luxuries humans were still allowed to grow on their designated agricultural plots. Anna's quiet morning routine was shattered by 3 loud knocks on her door. Her heart skipped a beat. Nobody knocked like that except Imperial guards. "Open up. Imperial business," a deep voice commanded from the other side. With trembling hands, Anna unlocked the door. 2 dragon guards in gleaming armor stood before her, their scaled faces showing no emotion. "Anna Blake?" the taller one asked. "Yes, that's me. You are summoned to the Imperial Palace by order of Dragon Emperor Virus himself." The guard handed her a scroll sealed with the Imperial emblem, a dragon curled around a planet. Anna nearly dropped it. "The Emperor? There must be some mistake. I'm just an art authenticator." "Not a mistake. You are the last certified human art specialist in the Empire. The shuttle leaves in 2 hours." The guards turned and marched away, leaving Anna stunned in her doorway. As the only human with formal training in both Earth art history and modern authentication techniques, Anna had carved out a small niche for herself. Most humans worked in factories or farms. A select few with special skills, like her, were granted limited privileges to work in specialized fields. Anna quickly packed a small bag, her hands still shaking. In the 15 years since dragons had conquered Earth, she had never been summoned by anyone above a minor noble. Now the Emperor himself wanted her expertise? On the shuttle ride to the capital planet, Anna gazed out the window at the stars. Humans weren't allowed to pilot ships anymore. They weren't trusted with such technology. "First time to the capital?" asked a kindly older man sitting next to her. Anna nodded. "I never thought I'd see it." "It's something all right," he said. "Just remember to keep your eyes down when the dragons speak to you. Makes things easier." The capital planet came into view, a swirling blue-green world with massive cities that sparkled even from space. Anna had only seen images of it before. As they descended through the atmosphere, she marveled at the sprawling dragon architecture. Spires that seemed to defy gravity, buildings that curved and twisted in impossible ways. The Imperial Palace dominated the central city. It was built into a mountain, with towers stretching upward like claws grasping at the sky. Guards escorted Anna from the spaceport through the grand entrance hall of the palace. Everything was built to dragon scale, massive doorways, high ceilings, wide corridors. It made her feel even smaller than usual. "Wait here," a guard ordered, leaving her in an antechamber decorated with paintings and sculptures from a dozen conquered worlds. An hour later, a dragon in flowing robes approached. "I am Krell, Royal Curator," he announced. "You are the human art expert?" "Yes," Anna said, remembering to lower her gaze. "Anna Blake, certified in pre-war Earth art and authentication techniques." "Good. Follow me. The Emperor is eager to show you his latest acquisition." Anna followed Krell through a maze of corridors until they reached a secure room. Inside, displayed on an illuminated wall, hung a painting that made Anna's breath catch. It showed Earth, old Earth before the wars and before the dragons came. Green fields, blue oceans, white clouds. A scene from the American countryside with a small town nestled among rolling hills. "This painting," Krell explained, "was discovered in a collection on the Outer Rim. According to the documentation, it dates back nearly 300 years before our first contact with humans." Anna frowned, studying the painting. That would be impossible. Dragons only discovered Earth 20 years ago. Krell's scales rippled with amusement. "Not officially, perhaps. But this suggests otherwise. It appears to show dragon observers in the sky above your planet." He pointed to small shapes in the clouds that could, with imagination, be interpreted as dragon forms. "The Emperor believes this proves that dragons have been watching humans for centuries. That your species was always destined to serve under our guidance." Anna felt a chill. If this painting was authenticated, it would reinforce the Empire's propaganda that human subjugation was not just the result of superior dragon strength, but cosmic destiny. "The Emperor will see you now," a voice announced. Anna turned to see the doors open, revealing a massive chamber beyond. At the far end, seated on a throne of gleaming metal, was Dragon Emperor Virus himself. His scales shimmered like oil on water, shifting colors with each movement. His eyes, ancient and calculating, fixed on Anna. "Bring the human closer," he commanded in a voice that seemed to vibrate the very air. "I wish to hear what she thinks of my new treasure." Anna walked forward on wobbly legs, feeling the weight of the moment. What she said next could affect the future of all humanity in the Empire. Anna stood before the massive painting, feeling tiny beneath the towering ceiling of the Imperial Gallery. The Dragon Emperor Virus sat on a raised platform nearby, his enormous form draped in silks that sparkled with embedded gems. His scales rippled with colors that reminded Anna of deep space photographs, purples, blues and flecks of silver that seemed to contain entire galaxies. The court dragons lined the walls, their jeweled collars and armbands marking their rank in-house. Their whispers echoed in the vast chamber, creating a constant hissing backdrop that made Anna's skin prickle. "You may begin your examination," the Emperor said, his voice surprisingly soft for a creature so large. "Be thorough. This artifact is of great importance to the Empire." Anna nodded and opened the case of tools she'd been permitted to bring. "I'll need proper lighting, Your Majesty." With a flick of his claw, the Emperor signaled to attendants who adjusted the room's illumination. Bright, neutral light flooded over the painting. "Thank you," Anna said, pulling on thin cotton gloves. She felt every eye in the room watching her movements. The painting was beautiful, a countryside scene showing Earth before the dragon invasion. Rolling hills, a small town with a white church steeple, and in the sky above, strange shapes that could be interpreted as dragons watching from the clouds. If real, it would prove dragons had been observing Earth centuries before they officially arrived. Anna started with a visual inspection, moving slowly around the painting's perimeter. She took her time, ignoring the impatient shifts of the dragons around her. "May I?" she asked, pointing to a magnifying device in her kit. The Emperor nodded. Under magnification, Anna examined the brushstrokes first. The painting was masterfully done, the work of someone who understood human art styles from the claimed period. But something felt off about the way the paint was layered. "I'd like to take samples of the pigment for testing," she said. "You may not damage the painting," growled a red-scaled dragon from the corner, Krell, the royal curator. "I need only microscopic samples," Anna explained. "Barely visible to the naked eye." After a long pause, the Emperor nodded again. "Proceed." Anna used a tiny scalpel to take samples from the edge of the canvas, placing each one into separate containers. She then pulled out a portable scanner, technology humans were rarely allowed to possess. "This will analyze the chemical composition of the pigments without further sampling," she explained. As the scanner worked, Anna studied the details of the painting more closely. The town depicted had architectural elements that seemed wrong. The church steeple had a design that didn't become common until much later than the painting's supposed creation date. And the way the distant mountains were rendered showed techniques that hadn't been developed yet. The scanner beeped. Anna reviewed the results, her heart beating faster. The painting contained pigments that hadn't been invented until after dragons had arrived on Earth. But there was something else, something that made her blood run cold. In the corner of the painting, nearly invisible to the casual observer, was a tiny symbol. Anna recognized it immediately as a manufacturing mark from a modern art supply company, one that had only existed for the past 5 years. The court was growing restless. One large green dragon with battle scars across his snout spoke up. "The human takes too long. Perhaps she is not as skilled as we were led to believe." "Patience, General Dorn," the Emperor said, his eyes never leaving Anna. "Art authentication is a precise science." Anna took a deep breath. What she was about to say could cost her life. If she confirmed the painting's authenticity, she would be supporting the Empire's propaganda. If she declared it a forgery, she would be contradicting the Emperor's prized possession. She thought of her fellow humans already treated as second-class beings. This painting would push them further down, cementing the idea that they were always destined to be ruled by dragons. "I've completed my examination, Your Majesty," Anna said, her voice steadier than she felt. The Emperor leaned forward, his massive head now closer to her. She could feel the heat radiating from his scales. "And your conclusion?" The room fell silent. Even the whispers stopped. Anna could hear her own heartbeat pounding in her ears. "The brushwork is impressive," she began. The artist clearly studied Earth's historical painting techniques. The Emperor's eyes narrowed slightly. "Go on." "However," Anna continued, meeting his gaze directly, "the pigment analysis shows compounds that weren't created until after dragons arrived on Earth. The architectural details contain historical inaccuracies. And most conclusively," she pointed to the tiny mark in the corner, "this is the maker's mark of Dragon's Breath Art Supplies, a company founded 5 years ago." The silence in the room became heavier, dangerous. Anna straightened her shoulders and spoke the words that might end her life. "It's a forgery, Your Majesty," she said, her voice echoing in the silent chamber. "A very good one, but definitely a forgery." The Emperor's scales suddenly lost their luster, the galaxy-like colors fading to a dull gray as he leaned even closer to see the tiny mark she'd indicated. His eyes widened, and to the shock of everyone in the court, the mighty Dragon Emperor turned visibly pale. The words, "It's a forgery," had barely left Anna's lips when the imperial court exploded into chaos. "How dare she?" shouted Krell, the royal curator, his red scales flaring bright with anger. "This human questions the Emperor's judgment." A blue-scaled dragon minister slammed his fist on the marble floor, cracking it. "Execute her immediately. This insolence cannot stand." General Dorn, the battle-scarred dragon who had complained earlier, drew himself up to his full height. "Let me handle this, Your Majesty. Humans must learn their place." All around the chamber, dragons roared and hissed, their tails lashing against pillars and walls. Some smaller courtiers took to the air, hovering near the ceiling as they called for Anna's blood. Anna stood her ground, though her legs felt like water. She kept her eyes on Emperor Virus, who remained oddly silent, studying her with an unreadable expression. Finally, the Emperor raised one massive clawed hand. The chamber fell instantly silent. "You claim my prized acquisition is false?" His voice was dangerously quiet. "That is unexpected." Anna swallowed hard. "I follow the evidence, Your Majesty. Nothing more." "Then show me this evidence," the Emperor said, rising from his throne. He stepped down to the gallery floor, each footfall making the ground shake slightly. Standing at his full height, he towered over Anna, his shadow engulfing her completely. "Everyone out," he commanded. "Except the human, Krell, and General Dorn." The court dragons protested but quickly obeyed. Within moments, the vast chamber held only 4 figures. "Now," Emperor Virus said, lowering his enormous head to Anna's level, "prove your claim." Anna nodded and moved to her evidence case. First, the town depicted in the painting shows architectural styles that didn't exist together in the time period claimed. "This steeple design," she pointed with a small laser pointer, "wasn't common until the 1900s, but these storefronts are from the 1850s. Krell snorted. "Minor discrepancies. The artist may have taken creative liberties." "Perhaps," Anna conceded. "But there's more." She moved to her portable scanner. "The blue pigment used in the sky contains cobalt compounds that weren't synthesized until 2030, 5 years after dragons arrived on Earth." General Dorn growled, "The human lies. She manipulates the device." "The device is of dragon manufacture," Anna pointed out. "And there are additional problems with the painting technique itself." She gestured to the brush strokes visible under magnification. "This layering method wasn't developed until the late 21st century. It's a modern technique made to look old." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "Interesting. Continue." "The clothing on the human figures is also wrong," Anna explained. "The woman in the foreground is wearing a style that never existed. It combines elements from different decades." As she spoke, Anna noticed something strange happening. The Emperor's normally vibrant scales were slowly losing their luster, the swirling galaxy colors fading to a dull gray. "But the most conclusive evidence is here." Anna pointed to the corner of the painting. "May I use the magnification display, Your Majesty?" The Emperor nodded. Anna adjusted the scanner to project a magnified image of the corner onto the wall. There, barely visible even under magnification, was a tiny symbol, a stylized dragon breathing fire onto a palette. "This is the maker's mark of Dragon's Breath art supplies," she explained. "A company founded only 5 years ago in the New Sydney colony. I recognize it because I've purchased their canvas before." She looked directly at the Emperor. "This painting cannot be hundreds of years old when it's painted on canvas manufactured less than 5 years ago." The silence in the chamber was absolute. General Dorn looked stunned, his mouth slightly open, revealing rows of sharp teeth. Krell had backed away several steps, his eyes darting between Anna and the Emperor. Emperor Virus stared at the magnified image, his massive body completely still. Then, to Anna's shock, he reached out one clawed finger and gently touched the display, tracing the tiny maker's mark. "You know this symbol well?" he asked, his voice strangely hollow. "Yes, Your Majesty. It's on all their products." The Emperor's scales continued to fade, turning an ashy gray that spread across his body like a wave. His eyes, normally bright with inner fire, dimmed noticeably. "Dragon's Breath art supplies," he repeated softly. "Founded by Lord Morix's second son." Anna stayed silent, suddenly understanding. Lord Morix was the Emperor's chief rival, leader of the opposition faction in the imperial court. The emperor turned to General Dorn. "Bring me Lord Morix." Immediately. The general bowed and hurried from the room. Emperor Virus looked back at Anna, studying her with new interest. "You have risked your life to speak truth today, human. Most of your kind would have told me what they thought I wished to hear." "Truth is truth, your majesty," Anna replied simply. "Even when it's dangerous." The emperor's massive head tilted slightly. "Indeed. And sometimes especially when it's dangerous." His scales seemed to grow even paler as he turned back to the painting, his expression unreadable. "Leave us," he commanded Krell. "I wish to speak with the human alone." The Grand Imperial Chamber felt eerily quiet after Krell departed. Anna stood alone with Emperor Virus, who had moved to a large window overlooking the capital city. His massive form was silhouetted against the evening sky, scales still an unsettling shade of gray. "Join me, human," he said without turning. Anna cautiously approached, stopping a respectful distance away. From this height, she could see the entire city spread out below, the Grand Dragon districts with their soaring towers and the much smaller, cramped human quarters at the edges. 20 years, the Emperor said suddenly. "That's how long dragons have ruled Earth and its colonies. A blink in our lifespans, yet enough time to rewrite history, it seems." The chamber doors opened and a slender dragon with silver-blue scales entered. Unlike most dragons who wore minimal clothing, this one was dressed in simple robes that reminded Anna of Earth scholars. "You summon me, your majesty?" he asked, bowing deeply. "Yes, Robert. I want you to hear this." The Emperor gestured toward Anna. "This human has just proven that the ancestor painting is a forgery." Robert's eyes widened. "Impossible. The authentication certificates were falsified," the Emperor interrupted. "The painting bears the maker's mark of Dragon's Breath art supplies." Robert went still, his tail twitching slightly, a dragon sign of intense thought. "Lord Morix's company?" "His sons," the Emperor confirmed. "But there's more to this than simple forgery." "Robert, show the human the full certification." Robert hesitated, then removed a crystal data cube from his robes. He placed it on a nearby table, and it projected a series of documents into the air. "These are the authentication papers that came with the painting," the Emperor explained to Anna. "Look at the seal at the bottom of the third page." Anna studied the holographic document. At the bottom was an official-looking seal featuring a dragon coiled around what looked like a book. "That is the seal of the Historical Truth Commission," the Emperor said. "Supposedly an independent scholarly body that verifies historical artifacts. In reality, it's controlled by the Ancestral Path Society, a political faction that has opposed my reforms for decades." Robert moved closer to Anna, studying her with intelligent eyes. "The Ancestral Path believes dragons should rule all other species with absolute authority. They've lobbied against every concession the Emperor has granted to humans and other species." This painting would have been powerful evidence for their position, Anna realized aloud. If dragons were watching Earth for centuries, it supports their claim that humans were always destined to be ruled by dragons. "Precisely," the Emperor said. His voice held a note of weariness that surprised Anna. "But that's not all. Robert, show her the other historical artifacts that bear the same seal." Robert manipulated the data cube and dozens of images appeared, ancient scrolls, stone tablets, metal artifacts and more paintings. All supposedly predated dragon-human contact. All bore the same commission seal. "We've suspected the ancestral path of manipulating historical records," Robert explained. "But we could never prove it. They're too powerful, with supporters throughout the imperial bureaucracy." "And now we have proof," the Emperor said, turning to face Anna fully. "Thanks to your human eyes that saw what we missed." Anna studied the projected images carefully. "These are all forgeries?" "We can't be certain without examining each one," Robert replied. "But if one is false, then all are suspect," the Emperor finished. He moved back to the window, his massive claws clicking on the marble floor. "Do you understand what this means, human? The foundation of our empire's policy toward your species could be built on lies." Anna felt a chill run down her spine. "The subjugation of humanity may have been justified by falsified evidence," the Emperor said. "For 20 years, I've believed that dragons observed Earth for centuries before we made official contact. That we guided your development from afar. That your species was naturally meant to serve under dragon rule." He turned back to her, and Anna was shocked to see genuine distress in his ancient eyes. What if it was all fabricated? What if everything I thought I knew about humans was created by those who sought to keep your kind oppressed? Robert moved to the Emperor's side. Your Majesty, we should proceed carefully. Lord Morix will arrive soon and— Lord Morix is merely a symptom, the Emperor interrupted. The disease runs deeper. The ancestral path has controlled our educational system for generations. They've written our history books, trained our scholars. The Emperor fixed his gaze on Anna. Tell me, human, how do your people view dragons? The truth, please. Anna swallowed hard. We're taught that dragons arrived 20 years ago with superior technology and conquered Earth in 3 days. That you claimed rightful dominion over humans because of your greater power and intelligence. She hesitated, then added, most humans believe you're cruel overlords who see us as little more than clever animals. And that is what the ancestral path wants, Robert said quietly. Humans who fear and obey without question. The Emperor's scales shifted, some of their colors slowly returning. But what if that's not what dragons truly are? What if our nature has been as distorted as human history? He moved to a control panel and pressed several buttons. A hidden door slid open in the chamber wall. Come, he said to Anna. There's something I need to show you. Something that even most dragons have never seen. Robert looked alarmed. Your Majesty, the Imperial Archives are forbidden to non-dragons. Rules made by those who wish to hide the truth, the Emperor replied. It's time to see what other lies have been told. As Anna followed the Emperor through the hidden doorway, she realized that her simple act of authentication had just changed the course of dragon human history forever. 3 months had passed since the day Anna exposed the forged painting. She stood on the balcony of her new quarters in the eastern wing of the Imperial Palace, watching the twin moons rise over the capital city. Her life had changed so completely that sometimes she still couldn't believe it. The door chimed softly. Enter, she called. Robert, the Emperor's advisor, stepped into the room. His silver-blue scales caught the moonlight as he moved. The Emperor requests your presence in the archives, he said. We've uncovered something interesting. Anna grabbed her tablet and analysis kit. Lead the way. As they walked through the palace corridors, Anna noticed how the dragon guards no longer glared at her. Some even nodded respectfully. Word had spread quickly after Emperor Virus had made a shocking announcement to his court. Anna Blake was now Special Imperial Advisor on Human Cultural Affairs, with authority to access restricted areas of the palace and question official records. Lord Morix and several members of the Ancestral Path Society had been publicly stripped of their ranks when the forgery was revealed. But that had only been the beginning. How's the catalog coming along? Robert asked as they descended the spiral staircase to the archives. I've documented nearly 300 items now, Anna replied. About 40% show clear signs of tampering or complete fabrication. The Imperial Archives spread out beneath the palace like a vast underground city. Artifacts from thousands of worlds filled the climate-controlled chambers, many supposedly predating official contact with the Dragon Empire. Emperor Virus stood beside a large display case when they entered the main chamber. Inside was a stone tablet covered in what appeared to be ancient dragon script alongside primitive human pictographs. Ah, Anna, the Emperor said, his scales now returned to their full cosmic brilliance. What do you make of this? Supposedly from Earth's Mesopotamian period, showing dragon influence on early human civilization. Anna scanned the tablet with her equipment, studying the results carefully. The stone is genuinely old, but the carvings have been altered. See these tool marks? They're made by modern instruments, not ancient chisels. The Emperor nodded. Just as I suspected. You caught it in minutes? Our dragon scholars studied this for years and declared it authentic. It's not that dragons can't see the evidence, Anna explained. It's that humans look for different things. We've spent centuries detecting forgeries made by other humans. We notice small inconsistencies because we had to. A survival skill, Robert observed. Living under dragon rule, humans developed keen abilities to spot deception. Not just under dragon rule, Anna corrected. Throughout human history we've had to watch for lies and tricks. It made us good at seeing patterns, and disruptions in those patterns. The Emperor's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. While dragons, with our long lifespans and natural dominance, never needed to develop such skills as keenly. We each have our strengths, Anna said. Dragons can see spectrums of light humans can't perceive. You can process vast amounts of information quickly. But humans? Humans notice what doesn't fit, the Emperor finished. A complementary skill, not an inferior one. Over the past months, they had discovered dozens of forged artifacts, altered documents, and manipulated historical records, all designed to reinforce the narrative that dragons had always been destined to rule humans. I've been thinking, Anna said carefully, about what happens next. The Emperor settled his massive form onto a specially designed bench. Go on. These discoveries shouldn't remain secret. But simply announcing that much of dragon-human history is based on lies would cause chaos. Anna activated her tablet, showing a proposal she'd been working on. Instead, I suggest we form a joint historical commission, dragons and humans working together to re-examine our shared history. Robert studied the proposal. The ancestral path remnants will oppose this fiercely. Let them, the Emperor said. They've lost much of their power since the forgery scandal. Besides, we won't frame this as correcting lies. We'll present it as a scholarly endeavor to deepen our understanding of interspecies history. Anna nodded. Exactly. We start small, a few trusted dragons, a few skilled humans. We work quietly, building an accurate historical record. Then, gradually, we introduce new educational materials. Revolution through education, Robert mused. No bloodshed, no uprisings. The truth is stronger than any weapon, Anna said. It just takes longer to see the effects. The Emperor rose, towering over Anna. You understand that this will fundamentally change the Empire. If humans are not naturally meant to be ruled by dragons, then the entire foundation of the imperial system comes into question, Anna finished. I know. It won't happen overnight. But it has to start somewhere. For a long moment, the Emperor was silent, his ancient eyes studying her. Then, to Anna's surprise, he lowered his massive head in a gesture of respect. Very well. You have my authority to establish this commission. Choose your human members carefully, they must be as courageous as you. 2 weeks later, Anna stood before a small group assembled in a palace meeting room. 3 dragons and 4 humans, all experts in various fields of history, archaeology and cultural studies. Welcome to the first meeting of the Joint Imperial Historical Commission, she said, looking at each face in turn. What we're doing here might seem small. We're just scholars studying old things and correcting records. But make no mistake, we are building the foundation for a new kind of empire. She activated the wall display, showing images of forged artifacts alongside genuine ones. Our task is simple but not easy, find the truth and share it. No matter how uncomfortable that truth might be. She glanced at the dragons and humans sitting together, something unimaginable just months ago. The Emperor has a saying, a lie may rule for a century but truth rules for all time. Today we begin to take back that time. Outside the window, the capital city stretched toward the horizon, a world built on false history and artificial divisions. Anna smiled. Change had begun, not with fire and blood, but with a simple phrase spoken in the face of power. It's a forgery.